So I wanted to touch on something that you talked about a little earlier,
Hmm.
the pivot. I think this is where a lot of other small companies don't make it
Okay.
because they can't pivot. Because you said mine was for face to face, then we get hit with COVID. By the way, mine was face to face. January and February, I had two crazy contracts, like big contracts.
Wow.
March, we closed. The country closed. So I had to say, oh shoot, can I get StreamYard? Can I get this? Can I get that? So
Mhm.
talk a little bit about your pivot and how did that work in your favor?
Pivoting is tough when you have your mind made up, and you're new at something you're not super confident in the first place. It's hard to change your mind. You feel like you've almost failed. Um, I really think that if it's your calling and it's your purpose, you're going to find a way to make it happen. And so for me, I was dead set on doing in person. I'm not really comfortable on the screen. I don't like Zoom meetings. I like to keep my camera off. So I was not impressed by all of the, online coaching that was going on in the world. And online coaching was booming during COVID. And I saw that all of these people were able to develop successful businesses, I mean, from scratch. And it took them, 2 weeks, a month, 3 months to develop, a customer base. And for me, it was like, okay, well, if I don't challenge my beliefs now, if I don't, like you said, pivot, try something new, I'm going to be stuck in the same place year over year. Who knows how long this pandemic is going to last, right? And so I'm a firm believer that in professional development, and especially when you're uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable doing something, that means you probably need to try it out, right? Because you have some insecurity there, some fear there that you need to get through. So I try to lean into that when I feel it. I know it's not something that's going to hurt me. I'm a big girl. I can take some criticism. So I try to lean into it when I feel that fear and just go for it. So I decided to get some mentors, some coaches that could, lead me in the right direction. And then that was kind of how I made the pivot. I started to believe and feel once I had the mentor and the coaching that, oh, okay, this is something that I can do.
Does this match what you went to college for?
100%.
I always ask because mine doesn't. I know very few people,
Oh,
so I'm happy
got it.
for you because a lot of us are like, yeah, I went to college, I got a degree, but I have never used it.
So it was really important for me to maximize the investment that I made in college and in my master's program. You understand? We put a lot of time, we put a lot of energy and a lot of money. And a lot of times those are stolen years from us. A lot of us didn't get the best return on our investment. And so it's really important that I take the skills that I'm learning and do something positive with it, even if it wasn't like my ideal, right? I think in our generation, we were pushed to do certain things. It was like, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be an engineer. We didn't have the breakdown of the possibilities of all that you could be inside of those things. You were just
Hmm.
going to be one of them.
Yep.
So I want to make sure that even though I have other things that I'm doing and I have other LLCs, things that I'm more passionate about, this is something I've been doing 15 years now. I need to be able to give back and, maximize my investment on this thing.
Okay. So let me ask you what we call our CEO questions.
Mm,
What is your why?
my why.
Yes.
Um, I think my why is freedom. I shouldn't say I think, it definitely is. Um, we I want to live a life, right? And work for people and brands and causes that I'm passionate about. I want to be able to advance the careers of other people who like me, who may be like me and who have struggled to find their footing in industries. I think a lot of times I come from a technical background. My degree is in mechanical engineering. My master's is in project management and construction. There aren't a lot of people who look like me. I want to be able to represent for people who are struggling in an industry where they don't see folks like themselves who are represented. So that's definitely my driving why behind In Spirit Project Management.
Okay. I like the fact that you said you don't see a lot of people who look like you. I go through the exact same thing in HR. I might know one or two other African American males, but it's so dominated by women. So I definitely understand trying to get other people who look like you into the at least the front door. Like they might not be
Mhm.
good at it, but let's try this. Like you don't know. Like this, it's a way, definitely a way to make a living.
Yeah, 100%.
Um, so let me ask you this. So how did you get into that as a degree? Because like you just said, doctor, lawyer, engineer, did not know about project management in high school. So that's what I'm asking. How did you get into that?
Same. I didn't know about project management. I didn't even know about it once I had graduated from college. When I landed my first job in the real world, I still didn't know about it, right? For me, I happened upon it. So I worked at two jobs where I kind of felt like they were asking me to do, I want to say this gently, more than what my job description was. It was like my first job, I was hired for sales, but I ended up doing logistics and technical support and designing, laying out ductwork and all kinds of other things within the process. But if you're hired for sales and you're based on commission, it's hard to put 100% of everything you do into each piece of the pie, right? In an organization. And the same thing happened at my second job. So by the time I had gotten to my third job, that was the first time I was introduced to project managers. And I said, oh, see, this is the way that it's supposed to be. There are people in every position with an organization who know their role, and they're there to take the project to the next level or the organization to the next level. So that was my introduction to project management. And then just when I see things that I think people consistently fail at, I get seriously curious as to why. Like, what is going on here? Why can't we deliver something on time? Why are we, over budget? Why are we lacking profit in the organization? Why can't we increase our cash flow? Those things will bother me, right? Those are the things that kind of kept me up at night. And just that was when I said, okay, I have two options. I can study for the PMP, right? So I can become a project manager, or I can take a different route. And I chose to go for the master's program because I wanted an in-depth study on why project managers do what they did. And so that investment turned out to be 100% of what I needed, and was kind of the catalyst for getting me into the project management career.
Okay, so I want to hear this from your side because you're not really in HR, even though you
Mm.
do help with resumes. So this is a question I ask people who work in HR. What is your biggest pet peeve about people's resumes?
Oh,
Everybody has one or two that it just
yeah.
like nails on a chalkboard.
So mine is not so much technical. It's not technical. It's like, oh, you have to have your font right and your colors and a good picture on there. And I don't have any of those. It is the lack of storytelling and data in the list that you provide. So if you provide me a bulleted list and it's just a job description, you don't give me a story about what you've done. And I think there's a really concise way that you can turn, the bullet points of a job description into an accomplishment or a career highlight or something of that nature. So it's kind of a pet peeve to just read a bullet list of a job description. I want to know some numbers, like, what were you able to accomplish? Did you measure something at this job? Did you increase performance, and what was the rate of return that you have? So if you're looking for a technical job and project management job, you need to have some data driven accomplishment on your resume.
Definitely, definitely. Okay. So started in the workforce, figured out you was doing project management anyway. So
Hmm.
you decided to go back to school and it's put you to where you're at now.
Yeah.
What is the biggest lesson you learned, whether it's your company or um, working in working a 9 to 5? What is the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Oh, goodness. The biggest lesson that I have learned is that you think a lot of these organizations have it all figured out, and they are just making it up as they go along. They are making it up as they go along. And so the thing that I've learned is that if you find that you or feel that you have a better way of accomplishing something that they do, don't be afraid to bring it up to your senior leadership and let them know that, hey, the way that you've always been doing it isn't really the best way. I have another option, right? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Especially if you're in certain industries and you don't have a lot of experience. However, my advice would be to pilot a solution of your own. Take a section or a subset of something that you're working on, gather some information and some numbers, and then present that to your senior leadership if you're going to work. So if you want to make it work, definitely that a lot of these organizations and a lot of the people who are in senior leadership roles, they don't have all the answers. So don't feel like you can't speak up or that you don't have a better solution to what somebody might be already doing.
Got it. What is the best advice that you've received that you give to other people?
I got to think about that one.
You actually said the one that I was given to me. Just every place is not for you. It could be perfect. It could be the right amount of money. You think everything is right and you get in there and it's not. Like I tell people that all the time. I've had to leave companies because I didn't feel right about the work, things like that. So
I like that. I actually saw your Instagram. I think you might have done a live yesterday or you did a video on Instagram and it was about conflict in the workplace. And I remember your number 2 being find a new job. Find a new job, find one that fits you better. And I 100% agree with that. If it's not working for you, it should not cost you your mental health and your peace. There are plenty of things out there that you can do. Network, find you some mentors, people who are doing what you want to do, and move on.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. Even if you have the job you like, don't stop interviewing. I tell people that all the time. They don't listen to me most of the time, but I'm like, keep interviewing.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the job, but you interview well, they will remember you.
That is a good point.
That all the time. You interview well, they will remember you.
100% of the time. So I think I have 2 small pieces of advice, right, that a couple of coaches have given me, and I pass this on too, right? One of my coaches taught me that rest is a weapon, right? And that busy is the new lazy. And so I always would find myself, busy jumping from thing to thing, but really accomplishing very little. And so I recognized that I was doing that because I was burnt out, right? I was burnt out. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a process. And the reason why I didn't have one is because I was busy, right? So in learning how to rest, which was something that was a very new skill for me, that I learned in my 30s, I was able to birth things like Inspirit. I have 4 other LLCs that I've started, right? And that's because I've taken a step away from things that were keeping me so busy and allowed myself to rest and produce things that are important to me. And then the second piece of advice that I was given is to decide, right? And the word decide means to kill or destroy possibilities. And so we spend so much time going back and forth on some of the smallest things in our life, like what am I going to have for dinner? What am I going to wear today? Be decisive, because that indecision is costing you time and that time is costing you money. So I pass that on all the time. I try to be decisive in the things that I'm doing so that I can gain more time, right, in my life, back in my day, whatever it is.
Oh, perfect. Those are 2 really good ones. I like that. I definitely like that. Do you have anything coming up that you want to let us know about, that we can let people know what's coming up?
Let me think. Anything really? No, I'm attending a few conferences. They're not of my own. Just for everybody to know, there's a conference coming up in October. It's called Women of Color in STEM. It's going to be held in Detroit. So I'll be there. I'll be there representing Amazon, which is my current 9 to 5. But I'll also be there representing Inspirit Project Management as well. I host professional development workshops every month. I try to keep it to a minimum of 10 students. And so right now I'm working on the November cohort. I haven't set a date for it yet, but as soon as I do know, I'll make sure I post it on my Instagram or send it out on my email list. So please, if you're interested, definitely tune in there or subscribe to my email list. Send me an email, a DM, however. And I think those are probably the two things that I have coming up in the near future.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Can you give us all of your social media and
Mhm.
your website?
Yeah, certainly. So the name of the company is In Spirit Project Management. The website is www.inspiritpm.com. And then you can find me on Instagram at In Spirit Project Management, and project management is spelled out. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well. You can find me under Desiree Battle or In Spirit Project Management there.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate your time this evening.
100%. Yeah, I enjoyed you. Thank you.
All right. And as always, thank you guys for watching us again, and we'll be back to see you soon.